Well, I loaded all the trucks we had this morning. I got a short window of time. We're gonna make a little video. So I'm gonna walk out front here and see how much wood we got out there left. And I figured I'd take a few minutes and answer a few questions that people have posted on the comments there. Try to answer a few of those for you guys. Well, first of all, my name's John. I run the Morbark 2755 flail we have, and I can also run the Model 23 flail we have. That's the main thing I run. I can run skidder and slasher and all that, but I like to run chipper. I enjoy that quite a bit. So I run that first of all, and I work for a company called Cook's Forest Products out of Central Michigan, and that's owned by my father-in-law, Mike. There's a video of him running chainsaw there a week ago or so, and I married his daughter about, it'll be 11 years this fall. So kind of the background. I've worked for Cook's, it'll be 9 years this winter that I've worked out here in the woods. So that's kind of the background. So my father-in-law started out cutting firewood, and then he started to cut a few logs, and then he started to get into chipping. And in 1994 he bought his first flail chipper from Morbark. It's a Model 23. It's a combination unit, and ever since then his main focus has been on chips. And we produce chips mainly for a company up in Manistee called Packaging Corporation of America, and they make cardboard. So that's our bread and butter, I guess you'd say. That's what we focus on mainly. There is another mill on the other side of the state that we haul to, and they produce pegboard and paneling and stuff like that with their chips. So our main focus is chips. We take them to two mills. One mill's cardboard, the other's paneling and pegboard and stuff like that. Right now we're producing about 1,000 tons of chips a week. The one mill, the main mill we haul to, had us shut down to 1,000 tons a week, so we produce that. And then the paneling mill, they'll take anywhere from like 4 to say 5 loads a week. So we produce up there. So we produce just over 1,000 tons. Anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 tons a week. That's pretty slow for us. We can produce 1,500 tons a week pretty easily. But the mills are full of wood, so they're not taking anymore. They put us on a quota. So that's what we're producing right now. The logs get sent to multiple different mills depending on the quality and what mills want the wood and what mills don't. Majority of our hardwood logs go to an Amish sawmill for cants. They get made into pallet stock. That's the majority of the logs. Every now and then, if we get on a real nice log job, they'll go to a different mill, and them logs get turned in, or that wood gets turned in to all kinds of different stuff. Whatever they have orders for, they sell the wood to all kinds of different people that make all kinds of different stuff out of it. So right now we got 6 trucks on the road with chip vans, and 6 drivers, because we are a ways away from the mill right now. It's about a 6-hour round trip, 5.5 to 6 hours. Once the truck leaves, goes all the way to PCA, and then comes back, is about 5.5 to 6 hours. So it's quite a trip, and that's why we got 6 trucks on the road. Because when you get this far from the mill, you got to have a good amount of trucks coming there and back, keep the wood rolling. We have one log truck because the mills are all closer to us here. So you don't necessarily have to have, for us, you don't have to have much more than one log truck. And we usually keep a log truck driver pretty busy. So we got a shop located right in Harrison where we're located out of. And he's got 3 guys in the shop working. And he's also got 2 guys in the firewood yard working. All that firewood we cut gets sent to the shop, and Cord King down there processes it up. He's got 2 firewood trucks, a 10 cord and a 5 cord dump trucks for firewood, and that's kind of the shop end of it. Oh, he's over there down that skid trail. I went for a walk over here, and a little bit of hardwood. This is poplar here. Some big stuff. They'll pull that bundle up. We'll slash the logs out of it as far as you can, down to 10 inches. We're cutting them 10 foot long right now. But once you get up to that crooked spot in that one, they don't want that. And then size and rot, you got to be careful. You can see the other bundle topple. They don't want rotten and brown ones. So you got to kind of know what you're doing. Pay attention to what's going on. But we'll cut the logs out of that, and there's no firewood out of that popple. But like this hardwood bundle here, those 2 big ones in the bottom are ash, so they got some decent logs in them. And then he'll cut the firewood once it gets smaller up towards the top. And then this birch here, I'll chip all that up and all the small stuff on top. And we don't cut firewood out of the birch. It's not everybody wants that, so that's kind of what we do. Every tree's different, and it's always interesting to see. Every job's different, the wood grows differently, and this has been a pretty good job so far. But that's kind of how the buncher guy lays them out there. Keeps everything nice. Looks real good when we're done with it. You can see there's nothing hung up nowhere, or a tree's busted off or nothing. It's just all, it'll look real nice when we leave this job. One of the hard parts about being in our shoes, company that produces wood, is there's so many variables that can go wrong that can slow everything down. We have one guy that buys timber for us, so he's the first guy in line. He buys timber for our company and a couple other ones. Then you have to have a company to produce the wood, and then that's my father-in-law, and then you got to have a crew that'll do all the work. Then you got to have the people to haul it and the mills to take it, and that's what the hard part comes in. Is let's say you can buy a bunch of wood up and you can produce it real fast. Everything's going great, and then one day the mill calls and says, well, we're full of wood. We only want, say now they want 1,000 tons. All of a sudden that puts a big bind in our system. And so it's real, like I said, there's so many variables that can go wrong. Whether it's hard to buy wood, and like this week we got 2 or 3 guys on vacation, so the rest of us have to hunker down and work a little harder to produce it. Whether it's hard to buy wood or hard to produce wood, and then you got to have a spot to sell it. So it's always, you're always trying to keep ahead of everything and not get yourself in a pickle. Get yourself in over your head, you can say. And that's one of the hard parts about this, is you got to have a spot for everything. Everything's got to work out perfect, and it seems like that rarely happens. You're always fighting to stay ahead, but that's one of the most difficult parts, is just constantly trying to stay ahead of the curve out here, because wood prices, as far as us buying wood even, if no one wants to sell their wood that much, then you have to pay more for it. And then if you pay more for a bunch of wood, say you're 6 months ahead on wood and you pay a bunch for it, then you go to produce it and the mill gets full of wood. First they put you on quota, and the next thing they can do is drop your price. And once that happens, you got to be prepared to stick it out. So that's one of the most interesting things I've learned while working out here, is that everything's so variable. To keep ahead of it all is really hard. And then breakdowns, I mean, breakdowns are something you can never prepare for, really. I mean, when you got 6 chip vans on the road every day, they can put 400 miles on a truck every day pretty easily. Maybe 500 here probably. They can put 500 miles on a truck. You're gonna have stuff break down. You're gonna have repair bills constantly doing brakes and tires and everything like that. So with our trailers running 7 axles on the chip vans, there's a lot of tires on there. So it seems like you're always fighting something, and it seems like whenever you get ahead, something like a tire skidder or a skidder tire will blow out on one of the skidders or something, and them are $4,000 a pop, or an axle will go out of skidder out of them old John Deeres, them are 20 grand a pop. So it seems like there's always something where you're trying to keep ahead, and that's one thing that's the most interesting thing I've learned since I've worked here these past 8-9 years. Like next week, our one mill called. They're doing maintenance on the mill, so they can't take any hardwood from us. They just want popple next week. And they take 3 different species at PCA from us, and it's oak. They want oak in one load. They want your mixed hardwoods in your load, your maple, your cherry, your ash, anything like that. And then they want your popple in loads. They want those 3 species sorted out in the trucks. So when the buncher guys go through and cut it, all of them got to be sorted out in different bundles. Your hardwood, your popple, and your oak all got to be sorted out. So when the mill called a week ago and said, the beginning of this week, and said we're not taking any popple or any mix, we want just popple, we'll be done with this job probably late today. Next week we'll have to move all this equipment about 30-40 miles, and then that don't have a whole lot of popple on there, so we got to go to that job, soak up all the popple, set up the other chipper on a different job the other way about 45 miles from that, and send a skidder out there, and you got to send a buncher out there, and we got to get the popple off from that job, and then hopefully the week after they'll take mixed hardwood. So that's kind of the stuff you got to deal with out here. Is it seems like it's never just a streamline, you're doing this every week. There's so many different variables in it. This is our Prentice buncher. It's a 2670. We've had this. We got this after I started about 6 months in. So, yeah, it's been here 8 years probably we've had this buncher, and it works real well. It's not as reliable as the new Cat, but what do you do? That thing spins there and cuts it off, grabs it, puts it wherever you want it. One thing we did do on our bunchers is we switched our tires to 30.5s. A lot of them come with a smaller tire, and the kind of stuff we do, the bigger tire seems to work well. And then we switched our skidders over to 35.5s, the next size bigger than that. But that's the old Prentice 2670. We've had that for a lot of years. It works real good. There's some chips there, that's what they're looking for. I try to get them all 7/8 by 7/8. That's the chips we're looking for. Asked if there was how particular they were on them chips. They're real particular. They constantly test them every week. They don't want ones that are too big, and they don't want ones that are too small. We get in trouble for either of those. And you can get some chunks and stuff in there. They don't like that at all. But the other interesting thing is if you ever look on cardboard, which like I said, most of our chips get made into cardboard, they always got a stamp on them. And you can see that who that's done from, Cedar Rapids, Iowa there. And Capstone Container Corp. All them cardboard boxes got stamps on them. This is a cat air filter we got for that skidder. But if you look at all boxes, you can look at cardboard boxes all the time. Wherever they're made out of, they got a stamp where they were made out of. And it is interesting for us to see them made out of PCA coming out of our area. So there's some ash chips there, but that's what we're looking for. And it all turns into that right there, cardboard. That's how we get those clean chips. That's it right there. That's a 9-link chain that we got. That's why our tool truck's full of knives and old chains, new chains, rods, grease guns, chainsaws. That's how we do it. These are in there. I got a video, an older video. I'll make a new one of these days. But those drums, let's see, they got 100, probably around 100 of these on each drum. The last one's got a little less. These things are in there whipping on a drum, going about 400 RPMs, and that's what beats all that bark off all the trees and the limbs off all the trees. And that chain, let's see if I can find one. We got chain all over here. That's the rods that hold the chains and the drums. But I'll show you here real quick what that wood does to the chains. These are square ground chains. They got squares on the end of them, and we like these a lot. They work great for us. But that will turn that new chain into that chain in about 2 days. It'll wear that out so much. So that's why you see all the chain in here. We're constantly doing chain and knives to keep our specs real good. And so they get wore out. Every couple days we're in there doing chain, and probably every day. Right now every day I'm in there doing knives, at least once a day. So, but that's what makes the bark come out the conveyor, is those drums in there whipping around, and they just pulverize that wood. Just beat them to death. So that's kind of how it works. Them chains are in there just a whipping, and that wood's getting sent right through them, and it knocks all the bark off and leaves that nice wood in there with no bark, no sticks, and works great. Make a clean chip. It's just a lot of maintenance. So I hope this helps answer a few questions that I've had. If you got any more, post some more comments. I'll try to do all I can to explain what we do out here a little better. I'm still learning, guys. Fairly new to the YouTube, so bear with me, but I'll get into her. But yeah, that's kind of, I hope that helps. I really do. Any questions you had, and if you have any more, throw them on there. I'll see what I can do. I try to keep up on all the comments, so I try to read them all. And thanks so much for commenting and subscribing and liking the videos and sharing them and stuff. It's been awesome. I don't think you guys realize how hot it is. It's like 90. I know I keep doing this. It's like, look at me. That's just from making this YouTube video, guys. Just for going for a walk. I mean, it's so hard to make these videos. I mean, look at my hat. It's full of sweat. But it is really hot up here and humid. And that air conditioned chipper seems like a lot nicer. A lot better idea than going for a walk, but No, I'm covered in sweat, guys. This is horrible. It's so much work. Man, I gotta run that wreck all day long, that big chipper. And then I gotta make a YouTube video here and there. I like making YouTube videos. I like making YouTube videos for everybody. I'm just messing around, but I am really sweating really bad in my eyes and down the back of my neck. But I enjoy making them, and I enjoy the feedback and all the nice comments I get. So I'm hot. I'm shutting it off. Here comes Paul. I won't shut it off. If Paul comes over here, I'll keep recording. He's always good on the camera. He's going to skid, so I'm not going to record him. But I'm sweating like a dog. Can't get some water. Need some hydration. ASAP. Woo!